I've been explaining that this and this happened.
You see, Mr. Sibia, normally when your defense is an alibi, in other words, when you say, I wasn't on the scene of crime, when you are confronted with allegations that you're involved in the commission of the crime, the expectation is that you'll disclose your defense there and then say, look, I was not on that scene of crime. You know, I was at home in Matlabatini.
That is unconstitutional. When an accused person pleads, the law says... Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The law says when an accused person pleads, he has got the right to remain silent after he has pleaded.
Yes, yes.
So the state is saying to him, it is expected of him to disclose his defense. Is that not unconstitutional?
You're asking me now. I can tell you.
Yes.
Have you read State versus Tebus?
Tebus, yes.
The judgment by Moseneke.
Yes.
Yeah, let's leave it there.
Yes, my lord.
Okay.
But the law says an accused person has got an option.
Yeah, fine.
He can say, he can simply plead not guilty and decide not to disclose the basis of his defense.
Yes.
It is therefore
Right.
called for the state to say no, but the law says if you plead, you must also disclose your defense.
Okay.
That is unconstitutional.
Okay, fine. Yes, sir.
Yes, we actually have the case at hand of Tebus that we intended to refer to, and it's State versus Tebus and another, 2003, volume 2, SACR, as the court pointed out, is the judgment of the majority by the former Deputy Chief Justice Moseneke.
No, this is not a point of argument. You can refer to Tebus. All of us have read Tebus.
Yes. Well, look.
It's not the source of knowledge in this court.
No,
Is cross-examining?
you see, he wants to read it. I can't stop him.
Yes.
Yes, but what's the relevance? Can Sibia answer to Tebus? Is Sibia learned in Tebus?
No. Just read that judgment.
A debate has arisen.
Yeah.
Counsel says
Jesus.
we are not entitled to cross-examine this witness on the alibi. Now, we are saying we are entitled to cross-examine on the alibi, and we're now referring to the authority. I don't know what the problem is, my lord.
The problem is that the court must rule on an objection. You either proceed with your examination of the witness, not lecture us on the law.
As the court pleases.
My objection, my lord, was on the basis of the fact that the state says this witness, when he pleads, he must disclose the basis of his defense. And I stood up and said that is unconstitutional. The law says he can decide to plead guilty and keep quiet and put the state to the proof of everything, which is exactly what this witness said, my lord. And I've said that this witness never said that my defense in this case is an alibi. He simply said, and it is repeating it now. Basically, when he pleaded, he said, I was not involved in the killing of SENZO MEYIWA. He comes and give give an extension of his explanation, which he gave as part of his plea. Why does he say he was not involved in the killing of SENZO MEYIWA? Because he heard about the death of SENZO MEYIWA, as he's now saying, on the 27th when he was at home. That's not an alibi, my lord. He's basically saying this is my defense, because an alibi simply says I was not there, I was there. Yes. And he states that at the plea stages, my lord.
My lord, we never said that accused is expected to disclose at plea his alibi. We're saying that normally, if your defense is an alibi, you're expected to disclose that defense at the earliest possible date. Now, there was an objection, and we're now referring to the authorities to buttress our point. Now, Mr. Ramosepele stands and says, we're lecturing on the law. We're not doing that, my lord. All that we're doing is we're substantiating the reason why we say we can confront this witness as to why his alibi was not disclosed at the earliest opportunity. And we're now referring to the case in point, and there's still an objection. We submit, my lord, that we can quote from the judgment to say that the law is on our side. We can ask the witness on the reason why the alibi was not disclosed.
Yeah, just go ahead, read that.
As the court pleases, I'm just going to refer to the judgment of the court. We said this State versus Tebus and another, 2003, Volume 2, SSCR, Volume 2.
I always commend the defense for working in such a hostile environment. How many times did my Lord go, Jesus? How many times he muttered Jesus under his breath? He's displaying facially how frustrated he is. He is muttering continuously. And then at the end of it all, Baloyi still gets to read his authority. Ramosepele came out of nowhere. We haven't heard his voice in a while. And he says, don't you dare. You are not going to lecture us on the law. We know the law. And Baloyi says, yes, but I need to read it. And then Ramosepele says, and what has tables got to do with Mzansi? How is he supposed to respond to you? And I thought, come through, Ramosepele. That is a brilliant response. As much as Mzansi has been able to stand 10 toes deep for himself, when it comes to these authority Ntontonis, I think it's an unfair disadvantage. And Baloyi is taking advantage of that. And now he wants to read Ntonton into the record. But the fact of the matter remains, as Mnisi Mvula highlighted, it is not for Baloyi to cross-examine why he didn't give an alibi. Mzansi didn't give an alibi. He gave a defense. Those are two different WhatsApp groups, because if he gave an alibi, he would say, I wasn't there at Foslorus. I was over there at XYZ. Here is the proof of my alibi. But Muzi is not providing an alibi. He's providing defense. And it is up to Baloyi and his prosecutorially led investigation with Brigadier Bongani Nicholas Gininda and friends to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Mzansi and the 5 accused were inside Phakathi within Kelly Khumalo's mother's home. Or is it Muzi and Marco and Makimba Buthelezi? I am so confused because we currently have 2 versions and both are read into the record. And my Lord is just sitting there saying nothing to the state as the state reads into the record Marco and Buthelezi confession over there by Uba Bukhadebe. But he utters no sighs. He utters no facial expressions. He sits there in complete, beautiful silence. And Baloyi continues on his repetitive questions with Mzansi. But the second the defense raises an objection, oh my goodness, all hell is breaking loose. I think it's an absolute embarrassment. And exactly where is my Lord trying to go? It's giving he wants to go see what's going on with Shadrach Sibia in the Madlanga Commission. It's giving he wants to go home and enjoy his retirement. It's giving he is exhausted. And has anybody else noticed my Lord has actually aged in that chair? Oof. What is going to happen with the SENZO MEYIWA trial? This is a complete nightmare. To top it all off, my Lord says, you just go right ahead, Baloyi. Read it into the record. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll catch you, of course, on the next one. Remember to like, to comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.